getting ready to go live. And now we are live. And see, guys, there's a live button in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. So y'all know when we're live. So those of you that know me well know that Haley, when she's not live, is a lot more unfiltered than Haley when I'm live.
Oh, I was messing around with the phone because it's a new way for me to show it up.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to learn the
eyeglass trick. Jojo, why do you keep growling underneath the desk? So the dog is growling underneath the desk, and I'm just going to apologize for crazy ass dogs growling under the desk. So Tish, you got something coming up next week.
On Monday, yes. Yes,
what do you have coming up on Monday?
On Monday, there will be a takeover on my personal Facebook. And it was planned entirely by Jessie the cat.
Mm.
She was bribed with some catnip.
Uh-huh. And who was the one bribing with the catnip?
Oh, we're not sure yet.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But she was under the influence when she broke into my computer and made a event. And apparently she scheduled a press release, and she's calling it a press release because, well, she's a cat.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to spill some secrets about my upcoming book.
Mm. And she apparently helped write the intro to the book?
Yes. Yes. She takes full credit.
For the entire book?
For the introduction.
Mm.
And there are a few surprises that she's going to be talking about as well in terms of what's happening. I'm not sure how long she'll cooperate because she is a regular diva, which means she's not under contract. She does what she wants when she wants. So I'm hoping I'm not running around the house trying to find her when her event is supposed to go live. It might be an adventure.
Sounds cattish to me.
Yeah, but she does like the mic. So that's something.
Yeah, I hear she likes hair ties too.
She likes her own brush. So if I have these around and she's not elsewhere in the house, I think I can get her on stage to take care of what she set up.
Mm. Okay. Sounds good.
It's something that I thought would be fun instead of your typical book launch process. And one of the reasons that she is the author of the introduction of my upcoming book is based on something I started with my first book.
Mm-hmm.
And my first book is a memoir narrated by cats. I don't know if I'm going to win with the ring light because they keep sliding.
Mm-hmm.
My first book is a memoir narrated by cats in honor of a friend who passed. And she was well known for saying that every book should have at least one talking cat. So I wrote a book where they all talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of kept it in my writing in terms of anthologies and future plans for writing.
Mm-hmm.
To take an inspirational short read, which is what the Tishration book is meant to be, and find a way to write a fictional talking cat into it was a little bit of a challenge. But when I decided to have her do the introduction, then she had her own space and she wasn't giving or taking from the story that the book is meant to tell.
Mm-hmm.
She's just kind of a little start you off with a giggle before we get into this more serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good. I mean, I've got 5 chapters done. I'm working on chapter 6. I'm still not sure I'm going the right direction with chapter 6. So I may need to revisit it like I did with chapter 4, but it's coming along and she'll be releasing the launch date. I had a meeting today with Angela, the mayor of Piscotty Park, who is helping me do the book launch party. She'll let you know. Jazzy's going to let you know when that is and how to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Cool.
starting to come together. We had a really good meeting today, and I'm looking forward to it. It was a challenging day. I had an appointment, and sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do to take care of your health. And one of those things with diabetes is getting those eye drops in and spending the day in your sunglasses. So I'm really glad that everything is okay and my eyes are okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Really good as someone who does what I'm doing now, both with your team and with my writing and being creative. I don't want to take any chances when it comes to my eyesight because a lot of what I do is based on eyesight. I don't know how well I could adapt. I know I would have to adapt if something changed,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how well I'd do. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
glad that I had a good appointment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I am too.
what are your thoughts on business cards? I know they do them virtually now, but do you get printed business cards?
I do. I use printed business cards regularly. And I have a bunch of them in my wallet. I was going to pull some off my desk and show you that I actually have a whole box of them. Um,
Yeah.
I actually do use them, but that's because I do meet people in person.
Hmm. Yeah, I've got a table booked for my book in December for 3 weekends in a row. I'm going to be in a local market signing books, and I do have that all set up. I saw the space today. Very nice.
Proof positive I do have business cards.
Yeah, and I had some, and there might be one kicking around here at some point,
Mm-hmm.
but it's they're very few at this point. The Tishration kind of took over, but I never redid the Tish Mac Weber ones, and I'm at a point where I'm getting ready to order.
Mm.
When I was thinking about it, I have this design for Tishration that I asked people online what they thought I should do. I wanted an umbrella kind of an idea, and this seemed to be what people really responded to. And it's two of the colors from the Mac Weber tartan. You
Mm-hmm.
can see that on my, I'll just go like this. So you can see the colors there. So it is the purple and the green right from that. So it is staying in the same color combo, but it's a different way of expressing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of leaning towards sunflowers because the cover of the book was done in a sunflower maze with my friend, very talented photographer that doesn't give himself enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool, and that's something when you're doing brand photos, it's something you should find as someone, even if like when you're starting out, you probably cannot afford a professional photo head shoot, all the bells and whistles. But what you can do is find someone, yeah, my glasses are not going to sit up. Find someone who is good at taking pictures. And what I love about when my friend Maddie is behind the camera is that the pictures he takes of me are the way he sees me. He gets to translate that somehow onto his photographs, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a quality that a good photographer should have.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
It's
That is very
really
cool.
it's really neat to see it and look at the pictures he's taken and go, it makes me look really good. And I
That's
don't
what a good
necessarily think of
photographer
myself
does.
that way.
They find your good side.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very good at it. And this is just ginger ale tonight, people. Zevia ginger ale. No fun stuff tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But I might looking at getting a bottle of wine to review next week.
Mm.
It's been a while since I did one of those, so maybe I can pull one of those out next weekend.
Cool. Yeah. So what are y'all doing? tonight. Patty, what are you up to?
Tonight, what am I up to? What do? Okay, yeah. I know what I'm up to. Um, I think I'm gonna get my 2 handouts that's in my head, physically onto paper. I'm gonna get a draft of an FAQ that needs to get into the proposal, done, and enters overcome some more objections in the proposal. So yeah, gonna be up to that.
That sounds like work. Are you doing anything fun this weekend?
Oh, yes, I'm definitely. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm probably gonna binge watch some more drama. I'm gonna do some sleeping, some serious sleep. I guess that's fun when you're an entrepreneur.
It is. Guilty of a nap today because my eyes needed a rest. That's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. Also, an early appointment too, so I'm not used to that. Jazzy was very happy. I joined her for a cat nap, and she was very pleased. She likes company in the bed. She's still there though, and within an hour or two, she'll be up for the evening, running around, doing all her fun stuff around the house.
Doing all of her
And
cat things around the house?
yeah, yeah, she really is fun. And we don't have kids, so we get a lot of joy out of having pets. And Jazzy is currently our only fur baby in the house. It could change down the road, but right now that's where we're at.
I have found that fur babies are a lot of fun, just in general.
Yeah,
So,
especially when they're right.
yeah, I generally don't let mine very near a keyboard. It's kind of funny.
I'm wondering what Beans would do. Beans the turtle has a YouTube channel.
He does have a YouTube channel. We're trying to get the camera and stuff to work and be motion activated, and do quite what we want to do. I'm kind of relying on my son, who is a freshman at Auburn in computer science, to get his button gear to set the trip cams and stuff up for the turtle.
And is that a project over the holidays, or is he doing that remotely?
It's going to be a project over the holidays because we're going to have to buy some different equipment to get exactly what we want. We were using a Raspberry Pi with some basic Linux installed and attached to a camera, but there's not enough coding involved for error conditions. So he's going to have to figure out error conditions and, when the network connectivity bounces and all the fun things. So yeah, one of the fun things you deal with as a computer programmer are boundary conditions and error conditions. So my son is getting a real world example of coding for those. And Patty's eyes just glazed and rolled back in her head. Sorry,
well,
Patty.
It is something now. I've actually joked with
We are true geeks in our house.
With the web designer for Fiercely Marketing. I joked with him about accidentally coming across HTML as I'm on Facebook doing my thing. And wouldn't you know, it came up in the last week when I was working on my book. So I did a screenshot and sent it over to him for a chuckle.
HTML is not a coding language. It's a markup language.
It may not be, but it scares me. I don't go near it. That was the joke that we had. He said, "Welcome to my world." I said, "No, thank you. I know where the X is."
That's his job.
He can handle that stuff. He likes it a lot better than I do, I think.
Oh, he likes that stuff a lot. I do too, but I don't always have the time to get in there and roll up my sleeves and get in there.
So for the non-geeks, what is the difference between coding and HTML?
So HTML is just a markup language. So you're just telling a browser, make this font big, make this font small, make this the other. A coding language, you're actually telling it, if this condition happens, then do this. For this many times, do that. if you encounter this set of conditions, check for this, 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 and this. Do you see the difference?
Which one do you prefer working with?
I do hardcore coding. My last coding job was working in the pretty far down the stack, working on network and storage stuff. So storage stuff being, I worked for EMC working on data storage. So stuff in the cloud isn't really in the cloud in the sense that it doesn't exist nowhere. It actually exists on a piece of hardware somewhere. It's an instance of a operating system that is running on a computer somewhere. So we were working a lot with stuff in the cloud and working a lot with remote storage and a lot of very large companies that have large amounts of storage. So things like medical records, medical imaging, movie rendering. You know, we just right now are just generating petabytes upon petabytes upon petabytes of data that has to be stored now. And you know, the technology has been improving at just a massively quicker speed for a while. I mean, obviously, I'm no longer really in that world, but that was kind of my last like coding. And then I was mentoring and working with 11 interns in 3 states and recruiting students out of about 8 different universities and training them and working with them and teaching them a lot of the foundations for coding and testing and acceptable feature integration testing and unit testing, bringing up prototype hardware in the lab and figuring out how to debug prototype hardware when it doesn't want to behave, and then figuring out like all the error codes. And, you know, going through that process. And then we actually managed to hire about 85 to 90% of them as full-time regular engineers. It was one of the biggest sources of new hires in the company at the time.
So what was my point in asking that question, do you think?
I'm a geek.
To highlight the fact that Haley and her team would be amazing at building your website.
The website stuff is easy. You know, I swore when I left corporate that I would never write another line of code again and that I would never touch another website because I started doing websites and web application stuff in the application layer back in 95, right as the internet was becoming a thing.
I was only 7.
And, you know, hand coding, hand writing out the HTML before style sheets were even a thing on websites. So I've seen a lot of different iterations. I was working with Java when it was in the alpha and the beta versions back at IBM. And then working on NetView for ZOS, working on different monitoring platforms and SNMP in particular, and then working on the front end GUI for the back end. So what was really kind of cool about what I had the opportunity to do was work on the monitoring software and the SNMP parts and on the browser, the portlets, the applets, the servlets, all the Java stuff. But I also got to go deep diving into all of the network management software. So I got to work routinely in about 9 different programming languages. And I swore when I left EMC that I wouldn't do that anymore. Patty's like looking at me like I've grown 3 heads. And people kept coming to me with broken websites.
So it became something that you were good at, that you ended up finding a way to build a business on it. And if you enjoy it,
I do,
then that's why you stick with it. That makes total sense to me. It's kind of like the writing on my end.
That website that I built for you for the template and built out a template for in a few hours that one night and how that happened. Poof, there was a website.
It's interesting to see the evolution of websites too, because
Mhm.
Back in the 90s and the early days, they were very basic and plain.
Mhm.
And now you can do so much. What is the coolest thing you've seen on a website?
To me, what's really cool with websites is when they're really designed with a singular purpose in mind, and they do that one thing extremely well. So a lot of times, I mean, I've worked with all kinds of like web-based applications, and I've seen a lot of different iterations through different like websites, web applications for a lot of really big corporations. And what's oddly ironic to me for a lot of them is that they don't do a very good job for the company that they're representing, because they try to be everything for everybody and they're not really being anything for anybody. Websites do best when they are serving a singular function, and all roads basically lead to Rome, and you're having a singular call to action everywhere on the site. Now, maybe you can access other information somehow through the site, through the footer or something like that. But I find that a lot of people try to cram too many things into a website, which actually makes them fail pretty miserably.
So would it be better to have multiple websites, each with their own purpose? Or, yeah, how many would you say is too many for one person to manage on their own?
It depends. It depends on your skill level. It depends on your business.
I can't. It goes back to
And Patty's like, oh my God, we flipping quit saying it depends. But it does, and that's one of the first things I learned in business school was that everything very much depends, and it's always been the case for me that everything very much depends, which is why like the one size fits all approach to business to me is mildly infuriating, because when you start taking that one size fits all approach, it doesn't work well for anybody. It worked well maybe for the one person who managed to master a particular skill set and then started selling it as a solution for others. But in many cases, it ends up really not serving any of the other people that are duplicating it, unless they have exactly the same business model.
And if you have the same business model as someone else, you don't necessarily tap into your Seth Godin's purple cow if you duplicate what somebody else is doing.
Correct. And, you could even have two companies that do window washing. One may do, offer painting, and one may do window washing on the side. Or you have different audiences because, one is, working in particular neighborhoods or does gutter cleaning. So the services are always a little bit different from one another. The service areas are always different. The demands of the customers, the payout from the customers is always going to be ever so slightly different. And you have to really be clear on who it is that you're serving and how it is that you're serving them and what your preferred ways of serving them are. Gutter cleaning may be tremendously profitable for one guy, but utterly unprofitable for the next. It just depends.
And that also leads into so many other things when it comes to having an online presence, because as we know, branding is very important. And it's something that you need to figure out for your business. But a lot of people say you shouldn't start with the aesthetics and the look of your website. You should start with the purpose. And is that where you
true.
agree? Yeah.
I do. I mean, I think it's great if a website manages to look attractive and be attractive. That's phenomenal. But you can have the most amazing websites in the world. And I'm looking at Gucci back 20 years ago with a website they did, like 2001. It was just like a tremendously beautiful website, but completely unusable and impenetrable. So you can create things that are stunning to visually behold, but that they don't convert worth squat. Now, I do think that it is important when doing websites, like keeping in mind, current tastes, current preferences, current technology, just being aware of changes in how Google does things from an SEO perspective so that you're not running afoul of Google. So it is important to me to some extent that the website be visually pleasing enough, but really the purpose of the website is to drive clients to a singular objective. And if it's not driving clients to that singular objective, then we have a problem.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. And that's one of the reasons I'm narrowing down my author website.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a blog there and books, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have it, those two features, plus if people want to explore Tishspiration, when that site's ready, it's going to take them there with a button so that there are
Mm-hmm.
two websites that speak to each other,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also independent. If you only want one side, you don't have to go to the other website.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my concept right now that I'm working on. And by the new year, I hope to have everything up and running on both websites to have them looking like they should.
Mm-hmm.
And I take a lot of pride in the fact that I did it myself, but it's a lot of work. And that's why it doesn't get changed quickly. And that's why it doesn't get done as fast as I would like it to. And that's why I have to set aside time to work on it, because it's fun. I do enjoy it. But sometimes I want to pull out my hair because I don't know how to get that one little thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the benefit of hiring someone to help you with your website. If you're not, as stubborn as me.
Well, even if you are as stubborn as you, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations over a period of time, and I've been blessed enough to be able to kind of Vulcan mind meld with you to get you to simplify your message, because a confused mind takes absolutely no action. And I've had a lot of people who have spent a lot of money, I think $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on branding, in their branding message and doing their ICA and doing all this stuff and, drilling into the nth degree. And then they have a single landing page website with a blog attached on the back end. But the single landing page website has, 6 different calls to action, which then, renders it pointless, because nobody is going to sit there and wait for that sucker to load. And the confused mind absolutely takes no action. So they're like, you want me to do what?
Yeah. And I do find there are things in my current website, the author website, that I need to work on. But at the same time, I'm excited with the thoughts of, like I was talking before about sunflowers and using pictures from that photo shoot. I want to put those on my new website. And they don't have this pair of glasses, and my hair's different now, but I really love the pictures from that photo shoot. And until I get more, then that's what I'm going to use for that website.
Yeah, absolutely. You use what you got. I mean, my
Yeah.
photos are now about a year old, but I still use the heck out of them. But, the other thing to consider too is that, a lot of times in business, we try to make things much more complicated than they need to be. We try to hone down super far on a niche. We try to drive ourselves nuts, tying ourselves into Gumby knots. And I think when we relax a little bit and realize, okay, it's going to be okay, I'm going to figure it out. And the website is going to be an iterative process. My business is going to be an iterative process. The marketing is going to be an iterative process. I'm going to start in one place, and my business is going to mature, and it's going to change over time, and it's going to improve, and I'm going to continually be filling in gaps, and I'm going to find holes in my messaging, and I'm going to find holes in my marketing. And Patty probably thinks I'm pointing at her, and I'm really pointing at myself.
Oh,
What?
okay.
You're not pointing at me?
Oh, we had this conversation earlier. Almost like hole after hole.
Right. But I mean, we have these conversations, but I have been literally for the last almost 8 years in my business filling gap after gap after gap in my marketing. And Tish will tell you that, she sees me in action on the back end. And a lot of what we are continually focusing on is, how do we clean up our messaging? How do we fill this particular gap? How do we improve this particular gap? How do we address this particular issue in the business? How do we avoid this going forward? And, that is that Kaizen and that continual improvement that is business. So, to sit here and say, okay, well, a website is a one-time deal and I'm done with it is absolutely a falsehood. It's never going to stay the same. I mean, I guess if you do Windows and that's all you do, that may be great. But I mean, even if you were a painter, you're going to want to show current jobs, or you're going to want to show current things, and styles change, tastes change over time. We're building a builder's website right now and totally different from the last one.
Something I'm thinking that relates to this conversation is my friend has a yarn shop, and it's a brick and mortar store that she has people locally that she's become an attraction in the mall she's in because she's constantly working on changing things up. And I mean, I visit her as frequently as I can because she's a solo entrepreneur running the store. There is a volunteer from time to time, but not always around. And I'm kind of a volunteer there too. So I'll show up and, sometimes we talk business, sometimes we work on projects. But the other day I showed up and we rearranged one of our displays. And that's one of the things that you have to do in a retail store. If you've noticed, they're probably already starting to bring out the Christmas into stores right now. And they have to keep things coming in and keep the stock rotating. Your website's the same for the most part. You need to keep changing the information. You need to keep it interesting for people to visit, or they're going to stop wanting to go to your website. So that's how I look at it, is that you have to keep it interesting. And guilty. I haven't been doing a lot of blogging lately, but that's something I'm going to be working on when the book is out. That's the next step, is start, okay, now I'll focus on the website, build the new one after I get the current one ready and point it in the direction I want it to go. Then I have to have somewhere for that direction to be as a landing space. So there is a list of things that I'm working on, but at the same time, I know where I've been dropping the ball, and that's the same thing you're talking about with filling gaps. It's an important part of an entrepreneur's life, is making sure that if the balls aren't up in the air, then you got to go find them when they start bouncing away.
Yeah. Well, and every single process in business is about improvement. So if you're doing ads, I mean, I'm sitting here working on a client's ad campaign, and I'm changing out copy. I'm changing out creatives like every day or two. Oh, look, that one's not performing very well. Oh, look, that one's doing really great. Hey, let me try another ad set with a slightly different audience. And it's continual improvement. And I think a lot of people assume that you're going to put one creative out and it's going to be the be all end all creative, or, the be all end all website, and then suddenly everything's going to happen.
What the problem with that is? If you hit it right the first time, then you have the fear of failure moving forward because you have such a high standard to hit.
Potentially. I mean, I think it's also, impossible to hit it perfectly going forward. You may hit it good enough each time. Yeah. But, the reality is, if you're not continually testing and improving and refining every aspect of the business, you're really losing a lot of opportunities that you could be really substantially improving on. I'll give you an example. This ad campaign I'm doing right now, some of the creatives were coming in at $1.30 a click. Some of the creatives were coming in at 56 cents a click with the exact same copy. And right
for those
now,
who don't understand that, the 56 cents was better or worse?
56 cents is better. Yep.
Because it's lower spend for click. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I've got some at 88 cents, 64, 72, $1.37. And $1.37 is about to go bye-bye. And as
And what do you aim for in that?
I really aim for 80 cents a click or so, or better.
Mhm.
So 88 is not bad. But I want to keep it definitely well under $1 a click if I can.
Was that geeky enough for you tonight?
Yes, you were both extremely
Am I
very.
letting my geek flag fly?
I'm supporting it fully.
Thank
Surprise!
you. Patty's like horrified. Patty gets to see plenty of me though.
Yes, 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 yes. I
So,
see you at least 3 times a week.
At least 3 times a week in that mastermind, damn it.
No, it's all good. It's one thing keeping me sane right now. I guess.
Yeah.
sane is good.
Sane is good. Sometimes that, like that really frank discussion about here's what's working, here's what's not. Why is this not working? Yes, it sucks. I'm sorry. It really sucks.
Yes.
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 The things that don't work really don't work. Okay, so why are they not working? How do we address that? How do we fix it?
That's just it. It's the difference between a successful entrepreneur in business and an unsuccessful one is the one that's unsuccessful gives up.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that is successful keeps going until they find out what works.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're all here to do.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's been true of my business too. A lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, you're so successful. You've got 74,000 people in your Facebook group and you're making all this money. Yes. And I've also been smacked back my fair share of times too.
Yeah.
And I still get it from time to time. And sometimes I get, the big, fat, dead, wet fish across the face, like I have recently, that I can't discuss publicly. But, it happens.
You learn to duck.
Yeah, you do learn to duck, and you do learn to, weave and come back and, pull out an even bigger, fatter fish and swing.
And sometimes it's just how you pivot. But in the author world, I like plot twists so much better than the word pivot.
Yeah, same. Same. Cool. Plot twist. Cool.
I'm waiting for a very exciting plot twist to happen.
I think we're making progress towards your plot twist. You don't see it because you're in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. So I'm in the worst spot ever.
It's that's one of the realities in business. A lot of times we don't see what other people can see. And that's why almost everybody has a coach of some sort, because that coach or that mentor can actually see things we can't see for ourselves, despite the number of years of education, despite 30 or 40 years of experience, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's that differing viewpoint and being able to see things from a, bird's eye view, or maybe even two people from a bird's eye view, makes all the difference in the world. And that's part of why masterminding is so incredibly powerful, because people can see what you're doing and cheer you on, but they can also see what you're not doing and tell you what you're not doing, and where you're screwing up in ways you'd be like, well, would have been nice if I could have seen it, but but it's cool that other people can see it and point it out to you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is most important, I think, to look for in a coach, or if you are a coach, is that how you view your client or how you view who you're working with. It's, you don't see them. A coach doesn't look at your failures as failures. A coach looks at your failures and
as learning opportunities.
Their job is to try to tell you how to get around them and move past and through them. And they don't see that. They see the potential.
Well, and it's just, failure is nothing more than data and information. A lot of times. Oh, maybe I didn't want that anyway. Maybe that's that. Maybe that's what it is. So, Patty, I have something for you.
Okay.
I pulled a card. I pulled the top one because I know you always like the top one.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
So it's this one, the musical arts.
Okay.
And this is from my Fairy Medicine Oracle card deck. So here it is. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
It says the fairies love all forms of creative expression, whether it's through song, playing an instrument, or composing heartfelt poetry. Embracing their creative gift is a beautiful way for them to share their magic and healing gifts with one another. If you have drawn this card, the fairies see that you too could benefit from expressing yourself creatively at this time. Play your favorite tunes on your piano, sing a song, or paint that piece of artwork that's been waiting to come to life through you. As you allow your inspiration to flow through you in this way, you'll notice that any tension you've been holding in your heart and body will begin to dissolve, and your soul will find relief. Playing music and creating art is profoundly healing for your emotional and physical body. Connecting with your creative gifts will help you raise your vibration and clear any energetic blockages that are currently affecting your well-being. Express yourself without holding back. A doorway to new joy will open as a result, and as a bonus, your manifesting abilities will increase greatly. There you go.
Oh yeah, this is like your. Normally you do it on Sunday nights.
I do this all kinds of times.
Yeah, there's no real pattern. Sometimes it happens all week long, and sometimes it misses the weekend. Doubles up the
Sometimes,
night.
Well, most of the time it happens on Sunday nights. I'm good at patterns, you know.
I do frequently do it on Sunday nights.
I've been following her for quite a while.
Yeah, no, I usually do it on Friday night or Sunday nights, but I decided to do it tonight because sometimes I can be a bit random. But
It's interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Cool, guys. I have got to turn into a pumpkin because I need to go take a pillow to a friend. So that she doesn't have to wait a few more days in order to get this particular pillow. So we will talk soon, y'all. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have a blessed week and a blessed weekend. And we'll talk soon. Bye-bye, y'all.